Look, Kyle's shaking his head. I'm like, Kyle, open your gifts and then we can hit lucky. And
No,
then
I'm shaking my head because you traded him a Klefki and I don't like Klefki.
Yeah, he's
I can't end this call. I need to leave. I'm so sorry. It's been
Klefki is
great.
bane of my existence. Hate it. Bottom of the chart. Of Pokemon.
Are you a filthy Aegis/lover?
I do love it.
Of course you do. You like the little knife, but you've got an issue with the baby keys. Of course you do.
Well, no, I mean, it's
always
also
the Aegis slash
but
people that can't deal with the Klefki. It's just something about.
You're tuned into the GOCast podcast, your one-stop shop for updates, news, tips, and community in the world of Pokémon Go. Thank you for listening.
You won't need a ladder or a flashlight to handle these rising shadows.
Shadow Shiny Mewtwo, from pipe dream to reality.
With a little help from FOMO, a Master Ball is forever.
And more on this episode of GOCast. Hello and welcome to the GOCast podcast, episode 237. It's May 23rd, yet another Tuesday evening. We're back at our normal time slot from when we did our show last week, just a few hours prior. But we're back at the comfortable 5 o'clock where we talk about, we can't get Spotlight Hour ever because of the But I'm your host, Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle.
Hiya.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. I'll take what I can get.
We're good.
That's all right. Good deal.
That's a positive. You're supposed to be happy about that.
I know. The neutrality in your world is just aces. I understand. So that's good. And very special guest, Zoe 2 Dots.
That's me.
Hey,
Hi.
Zoe, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. My heart's pumping, no complaints.
That's right. That's right. Right. Good. Yeah, so we've had Zoe on, I think, more than any other guest on the show. We do enjoy having you on, so thanks again for saying yes instead of no. Run it back again. Why would I do that?
No.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Love hanging out with you guys. Absolutely.
And I think the last time we had you on wasn't that prior to Seattle Go Fest? It has to have been. It was a while ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whew, I don't want to think about time. I just don't.
No.
But if you're not familiar with Zoe, we're going to make sure you are before we're done here today. But before we get to all that good stuff, really quick, Kyle, let's talk about goals from last week. It was Fennekin Community Day, and you had a goal of 12 shiny Fennekin. How'd it go?
I did do that. I got 14 shiny Fennekin. So it's not bad.
Whoa. Overshot. You could have slowed down.
I did. It was just what I got in the parking lot on the way out.
Okay. We take that. 300,000 Stardust. The bonus was Stardust.
I did do that.
Okay. And 500,000 experience towards your level 47, right?
Yeah. I did not do that. I fell a little bit short, unfortunately. I was like, I don't know, I had 400,000. Sad, but
yeah. All right.
Yeah, well, I have a bonus to overshadow Chris here because I did hatch a Larvesta this week.
I'm so mad at you.
I've only hatched 20 or 30 eggs since it came out.
Are you joking?
So it's incredibly lucky.
I've hatched over 150 in search of Larvesta to no avail.
Next one's it, man. Next one.
That's right.
Yeah.
That'll be it.
On Friday, I'm calling it. On Friday, you hatch your Larvesta.
Okay, I'm going to go out and hatch a bunch just to make it true. Self-fulfilling prophecy. All right, well, 2 out of 3. Ain't bad. Quote Meatloaf. 30 shiny Fennekin for myself. I walked away with 31.
Wow.
500,000 Stardust. Yeah, did do that. I think I did 497 in the event alone, so I definitely got 3K outside of it, so we're good. Larvesta, no. And 50 eggs. I think I had 42 by the time I had my my weekly summary. So I'm going to say no for that one. So that's 2 out of 4. You win, Kyle. Good job. Or whatever, man.
Fun, whatever, man.
Just mad about the Larvesta, honestly. Oh, man. Okay. Well, enough about goals. Or maybe not. We might talk about goals. Let's get to know Zoe, or re-get to know Zoe. So, Zoe, really quick, for those that don't know you, who are you? And what do you do?
Who am I? What am I? So, hello, I'm Zoe. Zoe 2 dots. It's secretly instructions on how to spell my name in the name. What do? I'm a content creator, mostly Pokemon, mostly on top of that, Pokemon Go. So YouTube videos, Twitch streams, your local internet gremlin, just living it up and, catching shinies and sharing that with people, trying to catch shinies, and
That's
sharing
right.
adventures around the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been doing it for a while now, right?
It's been a hot second, yeah. I started making the videos like the day Pokemon Go came out. So very slow starts, and then I guess kind of kicked off more legitimately / full-time-ish from like 2018 onwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been.
So rest assured, you're an established professional.
Absolutely. You can.
That's right.
I am informed. I know all of the things in the game. Or at least pretend, at least speak confidently enough to make you believe what I do. So
That's right. Exactly.
That's the trick. That's the trick right there.
Well, that's good, because when people ask us for suggestions for content outside of our show, we suggest you. So a good thing we're putting people in good hands, I guess.
I will take good care of them. Absolutely.
Good deal. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about how you got to where you are. So you've been covering Pokemon Go since it came out, since its inception, and then it really took off for you in 2018. You were part of the original air quotes Go squad. I think that's people won't know what that means anymore.
I was the +1. I wasn't there was the original like first little Go tour thing that they did. And then I was like, I think the first one added after that sort of thing. So
yeah,
I would say, I mean, I was still around during that time, but I missed the casting call, if you will, I guess, on the, when they were first doing those, I guess, it was kind of like really out of nowhere, just like grabbed a couple of creators and they were like, all right, let's like take you around to all these events and film and all that sort of hype material, I guess, for it as well. Yeah,
I distinctly remember like the mini games in the different locations.
Yes. Having to find like a oldest or longest trade and things like that. Yeah,
that was really, really cool stuff.
Yeah,
cool. So how have you gotten to where you are? Are there any like specific things in your journey that you would consider like milestones?
I mean, like the first big one was, what was it? The International Dex with Nick, so Trainer Tips. He was like early days for his channel doing, I guess a guest spot. Someone would film and edit their own video and send in to, be around the world, catching their regional and things like that. And I got in contact with him, did that for the Australia one. And that's kind of like the first like little defibrillator for my channel where it was like, boop. Here's some subscribers. Here's, from having like literally almost, no one to here's 1,000 subscribers. And I'm like, oh, hello. Do you guys need water? Do you need food? Like, what do I provide? Do you guys need me? Welcome. Hi. Nice to meet you. So like that was probably like the first proper like, hey, your channel kind of exists now. Before that, it's like you could be grinding out and filming, editing, whatever else for 8 hours and then chuck up the video and it's like, oh, here's 20 views and you're like, sick. That feels great. Like, real good. So after that, it was kind of like, the first, I guess, instance of, forming my community, gathering my good eggs up and ever since then as well, like, so with the original Go squad with them, going to a few different events and like the Japan one, it was kind of like, oh, well, I want to go to the Japan event anyway. You guys all down to, join the travels sort of thing. So it was like a crazy couple of weeks of just like filming all together in Japan and collab stuff, getting to know everyone. And then I guess just from there, 2019 was off the rails, lots of events, lots of filming, lots of videos here, there and everywhere. I think well, then 2020 happened, but like that kind of like, you know, thankfully having that growth and establishing self in 2018, 2019. So yeah, it's been wild. It's been, yeah.
So how did you navigate personally? Because I hear different stories from everybody when we ask this question. So how did you navigate 2020 on?
Honestly, I feel like comparatively, like we were very lucky. So for Newcastle, where I am, I know there was a lot of like international media being like, oh, the Australian totalitarian governments, you know, they're all prisoners or something. And it's like, nah, we're just like staying inside, hey, and not coughing on each other. It's been pretty good. Yeah. Like we had to bully our prime minister into actually like making restrictions, because early on, like it was taking very slow to roll out. We're kind of like, we're an island. Once it's Beyblades, let it rip. Like it's GG's for us. So like that first month was definitely very different, like actually, you know, not leaving the house unless it was groceries, medical, and honestly most things were work from home, but you know, essentials could work from their work. Yeah. But after that, like Newcastle was very, very lucky. We had a good stretch of 12 months with 0 cases. So we were honestly like very, very tentatively at first getting back out there, but we were pretty lucky to be able to kind of like have a normal, you know, second half of the year, because, you know, everyone was kind of doing the right thing. So as much as it was still very, very different, and people still obviously being cautious. And I think, you know, to flow on to now, people still, I guess, have the after effects of like, I guess, a little bit of agoraphobia. All those sorts of tendencies have been hard to kind of combat. We have been pretty lucky that the lockdown stuff did what it was supposed to do and meant that we could get, you know, back to some sense of new normal quicker. And so for me, it was like a lot of, I guess, streaming. Like Twitch was where it was at for 2020, 2021. It took forever to just get vaccines in Australia. So I think half of the rest of the world was already fully done. And I'm like, I haven't even had my first one yet. So like I can't, like, you know, I think the Liverpool event was happening and the guys like, yeah, you're going to come to the, I'm like, no, like I can't leave. But, you know, all in all, like the streaming side of things was really, really good to have that, I guess, online community. A lot of more people, you know, being that they were working from home, could tune in and chat and catch up and have, you know, a sense of community when we couldn't be outside and face to face. You know, for Go as well, a lot of people forming online communities was really massive around that as well. So it's kind of like, I guess it was weird in a way to be like, you know, I just get out of bed, go stream whatever, and like I'm in my little bubble. But then actually in Seattle last year, having so many people come up to me and be like, you got me through COVID. And I was like, oh, I thought I was just being a little dingus on my computer, like just, you know, sharing a couple of laughs, but just genuinely then meeting the people who you've impacted. And you're like, oh, okay, like, wow. Like, I'm glad that I was able to do that and, you know, help be part of that community sort of thing. So it was a weird time for sure. Yeah. It's
like one of those blessings of being a content creator. Like when somebody's like, hey, like I was in a dark space and you were my friend. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like, that's lovely.
Yeah, genuinely. And it seriously is. And you're just like, oh, okay. Like, you know, there is especially if you get in that headspace of like, oh, you know, what am I doing? Why am I making what I'm making? Like, does anyone find value in this? And then you're like, oh, okay, yes, there is some hella value in this. Like, you know, your life is valuable, and I'm glad that it's still here, sort of thing. Like, it's pretty wild. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I mean, the impact that you make from your content is rather evident, like, because we see you at live events, right? So we had a chance to hang out in Seattle GoFest for a little while, and we were up on the Notable Trainer stage at one of the sessions at the same time, and everybody that came up to say hi to you was just like the best. They were all wholesome. Just really nice. Yeah.
So wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, I mean, we're going to circle back to the whole global community thing after 2020. We'll get to that in a second. But so streaming and stuff, now that we've kind of like come out of, you know, the pandemic mindset sort of stuff, have you hung on to streaming? Is it still a big portion of what you do? Have you gone back completely to what you used to do, air quotes?
I would say there was definitely like a good period of overlap. Like I feel like probably last year was where it started to be more getting back into, like slowly getting back into the, you know, out and filming YouTube sort of things. So the Spain event being like the first one, I'm kind of like freaking out on a plane for the first time in 2 years, and it's like to the furthest possible location from home sort of thing. I'm just like, what if everything goes wrong and, you know, whatever else. But I'd say it's probably more balanced back to what it was in terms of film side of things. I do miss a bit more of the streaming sort of stuff, but it is just kind of like, now that I guess it is more feasible to go out and film, and it's, you know, kind of it's safe and fine to do so, that has kind of taken back over. But certainly when there's been like the Pokemon games, or if when the DLC drops for Sword and Shield, for Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, like
it's I do it all the time. Yeah. It's so easy.
I'm like, why did they make it both S's? Yeah.
Sword and Shield also had just a really great ring to it.
It was good. You know? It was good fun. Yeah. Probably when those DLCs drop, it'll tilt back the other way for, you know, more streaming than out and about. But I'm kind of glad that I have got that balance to do either. Interchangeably, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the people are like, "Oh, where's your video?" And I'm like, "Subscribe to the other place." Or vice versa. I didn't know you were on Twitch. And I'm like, I was on Twitch before I even had a YouTube channel, my guy. Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
But I'm not as consistent over there anymore, for sure. So it's understandable.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. But, you know, there's VODs. People can help themselves. It's fine. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, speaking of modern day, that's kind of where we're at now. It would be, what do you feel about the current state of the game? It's been a really hot topic issue. We had like an hour-long discussion with the boys from the Incense podcast last week about this very topic as well. And we all feel similarly, but everybody has a different sort of take or story with it. But yeah, with the current state of the game being, you know, I mean, in particular, the remote raid pass changes, some game economy stuff going on. How do you feel about the game? And let's add another question. How has it affected the way you play, if at all?
I'd say it's affected the way that I play, for sure. And I'd say it's a weird thing, not weird thing. I'd say that it's, you know, if you were looking at just data and numbers, you probably wouldn't notice that it has, because I was never a massive raider beforehand. I don't even have the raid badge to platinum. Like, I don't. You know, pre-COVID as well, especially, I would get in, you know, do the raid nights. We'd all get like the cars together, all jump in each other's different cars and do a little conga line of getting around to all the raids and whatever else. Absolutely. And then, you know, with the raiding from home sort of thing, awesome. It was needed. It was necessary. Is an amazing tool. But I was still not a massive raider, so I wouldn't do massive raid nights with remote raid passes personally. I still do plenty every week though. Since the changes, I have done exactly one remote raid, and that was because I got lucky enough to get the free one in the breakthrough.
Oh, nice.
And I've done several in-person raids, but that's only been because I've just coincidentally been in locations on Wednesday nights that are in major cities with people who I haven't seen in years, who are like, let's just go for a walk and do some raids. So if I wasn't in those like 3 very specific locations, I wouldn't have done in-person raids for the raid nights. You know, if you're looking just at my data, it's like, oh, we took away the raid passes and look, she's out there. She's doing so many Tapu Finis. And it's like, no, I'm just walking with people who want to do it. And I'm not going to be like no, I don't want to do it, you know.
No, my principle, I won't do it. No.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. I've got my shiny. I'm done. Like, it's yeah. So it's kind of like, even though I'm not a massive raider, it's affected how I play the game, in that the general community vibe is certainly down, especially the online community is like, been impacted very harshly by it. I think there could have been 20 other things implemented beforehand to make incentivizing remote in-person raiding or in-person play more satisfying, more desirable, more like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what, the benefits for that or the bonuses for that, worth it, love it, let's go do that. Things like Campfire being fully functional and rolled out so people know that they have a local community, if at all. I think that's a really common thing where people don't know that they have locals who play, and or haven't participated in, big comm days, don't know where to meet, whatever else. And the fact that they've now had their online communities and raid communities taken away, they just feel, or legitimately don't have, or they feel that they don't have, people to go out and find and play with, is pretty massive. So I think there's just so many things can be done before. If the intended goal was always to change it, I think there's things that could be done sooner.
Yeah,
that would have helped protect the state of the game. For sure.
Yeah, and I think the overall sort of thing is like it didn't need to be done. If it needed, to be done in their eyes, then why now, right? That's a great question. Yeah, I think most people agree. Even if you are on the side of like, yes, I'm in favor of going out and playing, which I think we all are. We all like live events and stuff like that. And you can be for going out and raiding and being outside and touching grass and all that good stuff, while also acknowledging the fact that
yes,
it has gutted online communities, which have been built over the past few years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the plugin for you pivoting in 2020 to more online content creation and the community building around you. How has it sort of affected and resonated in your community? I mean, and it's helpful that you don't just do Go, right? You do some other Pokemon stuff too. In our Discord, our remote raiding channel is very quiet.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
Absolutely it is. And it's harsh because it's kind of like, I know that for myself, I've been fairly vocal about accessibility with Go and passing on feedback, or, knocking on the, doing your AR snapshots.
Sorry, my phone was supposed to be muted. Yeah, I didn't get that buddy heart.
Yeah, well, the good man.
I'm mostly surprised you had sound on at all in that game.
If you're on Android, it turns on regardless.
You can't turn the snapshot.
Snapshot.
It's awful. Niantic, please fix it.
Yeah. It's like somewhere really quiet, like on I don't know, somewhere it's inappropriate to take photos, and you sort of get your buddy heart, and it's bling. Sorry.
Every time.
It's still no Clash of Clans intro. That's an alarm going off.
Send off the siren.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I saying? The online.
Yeah. Online
been vocal about accessibility in the game, or like, hassling out Niantic about certain things for accessibility in the game, like, I guess, very vocally. So I'd say I have, people in my community who are disabled, who are happy to offer that information and comment and share their experiences, which is really, really good to get their insight and their perspective on the game. And just like how much the, the pandemic changes essentially were like, oh, finally I can participate fully in the game. Mm-hmm. I can do the raids, I can reach the Pokestops, I can do all this stuff. Happy days. And then with the changes that have now been pushed through, it's kind of like, cool, no one wants to join my raid because I'm, the one rural guy in a wheelchair. And it's kind of like people, once I finally get a legendary to host up, people have already hit their cap, or people have already done their raids. I don't want to do any more raids. I don't want to spend the now double price to do a remote raid. So they're like, cool, all right, well, can't do that. Even though they technically could host that raid, they don't have everyone being willing just to jump in anymore, sadly.
Right.
So I think there's just been like a lot of extra flow-on effects, and I've said before as well, it's like when the issue is that the remote raid passes serve two functions. They serve a need and a want. There's no way to change the behaviors of the want without affecting the people who need as well. So it's like
that's a great very concise. My goodness,
yeah. And they've invented a tool that serves these two very different but very important functions, and I don't even know if there's a way that you could mess with remote raid passes to make it, good for one, and good for people who need it and less so people who want it, without maybe just changing other things in the game that are go out and play if you can, go and do that, like incentivizing the other things, because it's just like what it's done is just gone, oh, okay, well, everyone gets nothing.
Right. Yeah. Or it's so frustrating to think about that you end up not participating in it at all, because like once you have to start thinking about prioritizing your daily raids for like a raid day or something like that, you've lost that person more times than not. So
yeah.
The people that are in the camp that, that the really frustrating counter, air quotes counter argument of then this game just isn't for you if you're not able-bodied to do it right, which makes everybody's blood boil if you are decent.
If you're a regular human that's, got your head screwed on, right?
Is that people forget that, the person that you're thinking of in the wheelchair that was much more accessibly able to play is not in a silo. They exist in a community of able-bodied people, and it makes the experience equalized,
Yes.
And it's not like, all the wheelchair people can go and exist in their own community. That's not reality.
No.
That's not helping anybody.
Well, then why don't you just play the main series games? And it's like there's 1,000 different flavors of disability where someone can't even hold a Switch controller or whatever else. Like, and why should they have to go and play the other? Like, everyone's got a phone. Air quotes, everyone. People should be able to go and participate with everyone else to the best of their abilities. And every other game company is making massive changes to try and be as accessible as possible with different ways for mapping controllers so that you can have things for one-handed play, color like blindness modes. If you have a game that is a literal color matching game, they can put a little symbol on the colors so that you know which one's which to match. All these other companies are trying to be so proactive about it, to be like, see, look, we're doing the correct thing and making sure that everyone can access our game. And then it's like kind of like, nothing over on this side of things. And it's like, and it's like, it's so simple. In my mind, it's simple. Like, we've already got every other company that's done the hard work to use the proven methods. Just, do what that guy's doing, And I think that argument of like, well, it's Pokemon Go, not Pokemon Stay at Home. It's kind of like, all right, champion, like what? Like, I think people also don't recognize that like disability is an inevitability. Like, you're going to get old, assuming, you don't Pokemon Go walk into traffic. Like, you're going to be elderly one day and you're probably going to need a walker or a wheelchair or glasses or whatever else, hearing aids. Like, what about when you're in that category? Don't you want to be, do you want to be ignored? No, I don't think so.
Not, right? Yeah. They just don't know that yet.
Yeah, you don't want to lose, your access and exactly. When you get to the point in life, you're not going to want to have your things that you're wanting in life or needing in life to be just taken away just because.
Right.
So
the previous accessibility big thing was the Pokestop interaction distance, and you and several other content creators and recognizable names in this sphere, right? You in particular were a leading voice for that. Here's Niantic for that sort of thing, and I'll just say it and simply like we collectively won, right? Like we got the stop distance back. It's great.
Yeah.
So does this situation feel similar to you or dissimilar? And if so, how so?
I would say it feels a bit of both, but I think the difference in my mind is that I just don't feel like they are going to change. I feel like with the first one, we had, a lot of excellent points, a massive push, a fairly united front. Like, everyone's kind of like, we're on this, like, let's do it. And also I think with the knowledge that, there was no preconception of like, maybe they're like, they'll never change. It was kind of like, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Like, let's just go for it and see what happens. I think this time around there is just a lot of doubt that anything will get done or anything will change. And I think that's been almost self-fulfilling and evident in that how many weeks out after this current wave are we, and nothing's been commented on necessarily or nothing has changed. They haven't even acknowledged like, we hear you, we see you. It's like, nope. Nah.
No. Yeah, not through official channels. Like there was that one
Yeah.
interview with Michael. That was it. Esports put that together, I think.
Yeah.
And basically said like, oh, we're just gonna, our actions will speak for themselves. You know, we're not going to talk about
Not
it.
going to comment.
Which is a controversial take on the
That
situation.
in and
I
of itself
think
is a comment, by the way.
Yeah.
that is a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
but
like-
nothing official,
Yeah.
which is mind-boggling.
No, and it's like I want to be very clear as well. Like I think the importance in terms of like what people are fighting for is equally as important. I'm just saying like the Niantic reaction, or I think even just the community like feeling defeated in trying to push for it is just like a lot more deflated than the previous time around.
Yeah. It's like a similar situation, but a dissimilar Niantic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like the Niantic that we were interacting with felt very different.
Yeah.
At the time,
I'd say so.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Niantic's responsiveness or lack thereof has been a big talking point for sure. And I mean, I'll ask, do you think that they're gonna talk about it? I mean, Michael said no in that interview, but do you think something will force their hand, or do you think this is just kind of how it's gonna be now, at least as far as this topic is concerned? Because it's been a while. It's been like a month and some change, or something
Yeah.
longer than that. I don't know. Yeah, goodness me.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think they're going to find out real quick whether or not they've made the right choice or not, because if they can kind of coast along and still, people still play the game, they'll probably feel satisfied in their choice. But if they keep, neglecting the community too much, and people just go, stuff it, I'm uninstalling, I'm not playing, I'm disengaging with the community, and the worst scenario is the game does die, well then it's a bit too little too late then to be like, oh okay, let's talk, let's communicate. I think they're kind of like in the danger zone, honestly, personally. I think there's not enough respect put on the power of people, like just people on the internet almost crashed the stock market over because they thought it would be a funny meme to like to the moon, diamond hands, like apes together,
it was hilarious.
That messed. Yeah, it was funny. It was for memes. Like people affected actual like the banks for memes, like, and that was just a couple of dudes on like I think they're not putting enough weight in the fact that if for whatever reason we all said, oh yeah, let's like not play for a week, like let's all like for the memes guys, let's all download Draconius Go for a week and like full send commit to oh yeah, I caught the Dragimon, like whoa, and for a joke, people could and would do that if everyone and if enough people said that's a funny thing, let's do that. Like that's I think the risk that isn't being like, yeah, if the community gets disincentivized enough because of no communication, because of unsatisfying gameplay or whatever else, yeah,
because it's really not about the remote raid passes. I mean, it is, but it's about the communication and the very much feeling of a one-way street. Even though, they've said in the past and even more recently, like we hear you, whether we're going to do something about it or not doesn't matter, but like yes, we hear all your feedback. Well, that's great, but don't feel like it.
It's like I hear it and then I'm putting it into the little shredder over here, like it's
yeah. So one of the things that was quoted for this need of change was rebalancing the game economy, which is not really something that you can kind of like look up in the dictionary and figure out what that means. And it means different things in different settings. So I'm curious what it means to you as far as Pokemon Go is considered.
I've always kind of treated like the game economy in Go as like, the reason that La Vesta is so rare in the eggs is because It's supposed to be a rare run, and if everyone had 10 of them immediately, there'd be no reason for you to log back in on Friday to hatch all your eggs to get your Larvesta. That's kind of like how I've always taken it, like not necessarily like the money and Pokecoins side of things, but as like the game balance. Like when people talk about like, oh, what if breeding was a thing in the game? And then, yeah, you could just like get your 2 Axews together. And I'm like, whenever I've talked about it on stream with people and stuff, I'm like, yeah, but then you'd have to balance like the game economy of the rarity of the Axew. Like if you and your friend can just make your Axew kiss on the mouth and then you get an egg, like then everyone's just going to be blasting out shiny Axews with amazing IVs. So they're going to have to make it in a way where you get your 2 Axews to go and kiss on them, and then you get an egg, and then it's going to be like a bloody 20-kilometer egg or something, and it's going to have possibly worse IVs or what, and you're going to do it once a week, and therefore that's going to balance, the game economy.
It'll just be a system that people don't want to interact with at that point.
Yeah, and it's going to be like, okay, cool. So it's not like overdoing it, or the same when people are like, why can I only transfer this many things to Pokemon Home? And it's like, well, that's the balance for the game economy in the broader Pokemon genres. Like the shiny rates are so much higher in Go because you have to be physically doing stuff, that if you were just able to transfer your 40 Comday shiny Fennekin into Home, you're then disrupting the balance of the game economy in Sword and Shield, in Scarlet Violet, by just being able to be like, oh, here's 40 and I'm going to want to trade them out to everyone and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of this, when they're talking about the game economy for raid passes, it's a bunch of pixels. Like, I understand if a certain tool, and I would agree that a remote pass is a remote raid pass is a far more powerful tool than a raid pass. Because you could be like literally in the bath eating grapes and sipping wine and doing a Dialga raid, like decadent, full relax mode. I am not participate. The community is myself, and it is the grapes that I am feeding myself.
I am the universe.
Yeah, it's all me, baby. Versus like having to swap out of your pajamas and run down the road and go and do the one in person.
I'm done. No, thank you.
Yeah. Real pants? No. No, thank you.
No.
Like
in this economy?
No
way.
In this game economy? But like, so I understand that like that tool is more powerful, but I'm like, is it twice plus the price more powerful?
Yeah.
Here's a question though. Is friction part of game economy?
What does that mean?
Does creating friction increase or decrease the economy of the game?
So
you mean like people's saltiness friction, or do you mean
like
game
mechanic friction? Like if you make raid passes twice as expensive, you can do less raids. By doing less raids, it is now more difficult to get a shiny legendary, or it's more difficult to get a hundo. But that's friction because you have to pay more money.
Yeah.
So by having more friction, there's less shinies, less hundos, which makes those more desirable.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see that, at least from a remote raid pass sense.
Yeah, because I can totally see the Pokemon company side of things as well, where Pokemon are real, they're creatures, they're individuals. You can't transfer an egg. That's a Pokemon. Those sorts of things where like a legendary is supposed to be this big, wow, it's Dialga, it's him. There's only one. There's only one of that guy. Like, wow. But in Go, you can just do 40 raids in a day and then transfer them to the professor for candy. Like those two principles don't line up. So I can totally see, trying to make that rarity more pronounced. I guess, but the issue is we've been able to have unlimited access for so long that making that change 6-7 years in is wild for the community, I guess. And it's like, if that was always the way, if it was always you could only do one raid per week and it was rare and hard, there wouldn't be this, if there was always a limit on remote raid passes when they rolled it out, it wouldn't be this like, whoa, what a crazy change, reaction. I think we might be fighting for a different thing, like, oh my god, why has there always been this limit on raids, why can't we do more? would be probably a different argument instead. But I can totally see what you're saying. Yeah, with making it harder, making that thing rarer, and therefore more desirable or has more weight. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, is that good game design though? Like I think the elements of friction sounds like it could be positive or negative, and I feel like right now it's negative because of the contextual information we have, right?
Yeah.
Because situationally, it's stark and negative of a
and
change.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Inconsistent with
that's
how
the big thing.
The game has always, been, I guess. Yeah.
And I think it kind of speaks to Niantic's headspace a little bit, I think, on two fronts. The whole, like, we want this to be a forever game sort of thing. When the game design and the hype and the FOMO was built on, hey, this is brand new, you're going to run out of that new thing eventually. And so they're trying to course correct now so that they can move out of that loop, right? That production loop, right? But is it too late for that? I think there's a good argument that says that it kind of is, especially when you're talking about it from a, again, game economy perspective of legendary Pokemon candies. How many legendaries should people be able to catch easily and it still feel, like that wow factor, right? I think that it's far too late for that. I don't think, it just, like, if you've been playing forever, you have such a leg up on somebody who's just starting now with these new limitations. And if anything, that exacerbates the game imbalance.
Yeah. And plus there's no way, like, in the main series games, say you get your one and only Dialga and you care about the IVs and you want to make it the very best that it could be. You've got tools in the game to make it. You can bottle cap that thing. You can go and do the dungeon and earn your BP to buy more bottle caps to make it the very best little boy that you've ever had. But that doesn't exist in Go. So, like, those sorts of things are lacking too, where if it was this, okay, they're rare and you only can get one, or it's harder to get them, you're like, cool, I've got my one, but, like, now I need the resources to either power it up, the candies, whatever else. I can't even make it a good, air quotes, good one, functional one, IVs. I want the hundo for Master League, whatever else. You can't make that 10-10-10 into a 15-15-15 like you could in a main series. So where are those things to bridge the gap? When are we going to get, like, a bottle cap system, or walk with your buddy and you'll earn an IV point, or whatever it is that would equate to Go standards to be bridging this before making these changes? Like,
I think the argument to be had from Niantic's perspective, and I suppose from the Pokemon Company's perspective, is in the main series games you have your battle caps, and in Go you can do more than one raid. It's a terrible argument, but that is,
at the moment, that's what it is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We would love it to not be, but
the only counter argument I would have, to the battle cap system would just be like, that's a moneymaker for Niantic. But with this remote raid pass change, it kind of shows the priority of that's not a priority, right? Like, rather, it's confusing. Again, comes back to inconsistent. Like, I don't.
Yes.
Just who's driving the car?
At what point? Like, and is there a point where the Niantic values are in total conflict with making a good, enjoyable game?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that Niantic at the moment is willing to stake their values against the game and the community and say our values will just attract more players. Like, it's okay if your game economy is kind of jank right now because somebody got to do 2,000 Dialga raids and you can't, because that person with 2,000 raids is going to leave.
Yeah.
And now new people are going to come in and not, and they don't care.
I'm curious.
I really think that's their long goal right here.
I was honestly thinking about that this week as well. So, like, I was in Brisbane, did the Com Day up there. The Friday, Saturday of that week, there was an Ingress event, actually. There's been a few Ingress events in person around Australia this last month. And there was the Brisbane one, I think, was the final one. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, wow, like, like Brizzy's getting a full-on event. Like, they've got their communities all, I met someone who had travelled, like, flown interstate to come for this Ingress event sort of thing, but they've got there's no posters up, there's no, like, massive, not like a safari zone where you can just see, like, what's going on here. Like, there's obviously people playing, but you wouldn't necessarily know that there's an event on sort of thing, but that game's been out for like 11 years. Core community, still very highly engaged, but still a significantly smaller community. And I'm like, is that where they want Pokemon Go to go? Or is that the end goal for Pokemon Go where it is, a whatever fraction of the size that it is now, but it is a more, manageable, engaged, whatever core community that, is fine with the state of the game or fine with the values that they want to lock in sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious.
From a business perspective, like the turbulence of having, a lot of users come and go like that is difficult to plan around. Like I completely get that. I think we can all, that's just the fact in the business world, right? It's just hard to forecast if you have no idea what's going to happen. But then the play against that is to not introduce turbulence on purpose.
Yeah.
So that's confusing to me, but yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, moving on from some of these topics. I mean, even though we're having this conversation, it goes without saying that we all still play and enjoy the game. But you can have an opinion about something and still enjoy it, right? So that being said, let's talk about something a little bit more positive and more exciting, because I'm going to say summer, but it's not summer because you're Australian, right? So
yeah, it's okay. I'll think about your summer.
Okay.
I'll dream of the Northern Hemisphere summer.
I'm decided to go with the Pokemon Go Fest season instead. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So there's 3 Go Fests that have been announced.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at all of them?
God, no, not all of them. I would dissolve into a thin paste. So, but I say that, but that's just because the Osaka and London are the same weekend.
Yeah.
So that's just feasibly like, nah, I'm not doing that sort of, that can be like some hardcore crazy, like, oh, I played, this one and then flew to London or something ridiculous like that. Like, no.
People will do it, and they'll have a much higher collection badge than I will, and I'll be very upset about it.
They can trade me whatever cool thing gets featured at London or something, because I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I'll be at the Osaka event. The week after is Worlds in Japan as well. So I was already going to be there for Worlds, so the Osaka one lined up better. Osaka, then Pokemon World Championships, and then the following week in New York. So, yeah.
It's going to be a busy August hectic for you.
Yeah. I have no idea where I'm doing the global yet. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I always forget about that portion. It's, this far out and thinking about Go Fest proper and location, like global is in the back of my head for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys? Are you guys going to any besides the New York one? Are you going to the New York one?
We're going to the New York.
We will be in New York,
and that's about it. Unfortunately, we couldn't figure out how to make the trip to London work out. And we really want to go to Japan. Just the two of us really want to go to Japan, and so we were thinking about it. Like for Worlds, that'd be cool. And then this popped up, and it was just. I mean, Go Fest was like 1 week away, and like you said, a lot of people did what you did, and they are just extending their stay, and that's great. Just not in the cards for us this year, unfortunately. Yeah. So maybe we can have you on again. You can tell us all about how Osaka was.
I can absolutely. I'll bring you another hundo trade or something for New York.
Yes,
great. Yeah, but we're excited.
Like Kyle's shaking his head. I'm like, Kyle, open your gifts, and then we can hit lucky. And then
I'm shaking my head because you traded him a Klefki, and I don't like Klefki.
Yeah, he's
I can't handle this call. I need to leave. I'm so sorry. It's been
Klefki is great. Bane of my existence. Hate it. Bottom of the chart. Of Pokemon.
Are you a filthy Aegislash lover?
I do love Aegislash.
Of course you do. You like the little knife, but you've got an issue with the baby keys. Of course you do.
Well, no, I mean, it's also
the Aegislash
people
yes. that can't deal with the Klefki. It's just something about.
Oh my gosh, you nailed him. That is so good.
Every time someone hates Klefki, they bloody love Aegislash.
I do. I love Aegislash.
You're being profiled here, Kyle. This is great. So besides the Go Fest season, I suppose Go Fest itself, just in August, do you have any big plans for, again, inappropriately, the summer season of Go?
I have no idea, and I'm assuming that there's just nothing beforehand. Like I don't. This isn't like a wink wink. Are we gonna? Oh guys, keep your calendars clear. Like I have no clue. I hate getting last minute like, there's a safari zone here, and it's like, do I go and do the thing? And then my life's in spiral for 2 weeks. So I'm assuming that there's nothing else because they haven't announced anything, and there's only like May, June. Yeah, there's only June in between. So like I would like to do as little as possible for the entirety of June. Actually be home for Alan's birthday for once, which is good. And then like July also exists. I forgot. Yeah, it's August this year, isn't it? August is the Go Fest month. I really hope they don't. Anyway, my intention is to actually get some stuff done around the house, a la the void behind me.
You like went to a place there for a second, like, oh God,
please.
July is another month.
There's another
There's so
month.
much stuff I gotta do. Please no.
Please don't. No more safaris. Ideally, just kind of get some stuff done, and then look, if they want to put a safari like the week before August, I'll allow that because then I could tack it onto the what's that like that Muppets clip of the he's just like the little dude screaming and running through the city, and then he's on the bus and he's screaming. He's just like, I'm just like going through time, just screaming for all of August, and then I'll like get home and sit down and be like,
yeah,
all right, like we good. But I mean, in total, I guess being in Japan a little bit longer. So aiming to get there a bit before the Osaka event, film some more, do some more exploring. There's the fossil, like Pokemon Fossil Museum up in Tokyo, which is like proper dinosaurs, and then Pokemon like Skellimans. It looks so good. I've been salivating over it for like 3 years, and it's finally like I can go do that. I want to go see that. Worlds is going to be mental, I assume. New York's going to be sick. I want to see a New York rat. I want to feed it a slice of pizza. That's going to be great.
It's not about where you are. It's about when you are. So
really,
late night.
Okay, I didn't see one when I was only in New York for like 3 days the other time, but it was winter, so I'm like maybe they were asleep or cold. I didn't see any rats, and I feel like I missed out. So
the last time I was in New York, I was there for a friend's wedding, and I stayed in an Airbnb with a bunch of my guys, right? And we went to a skee ball themed bar in Brooklyn a few nights in a row because we just didn't want to find another place, or if it was like our last stop after a whole day, right? And literally at night, and I've never seen this anywhere else, like in Manhattan or anything else like that, they just like came out of the woodwork at like 10:30. It was very fascinating to watch. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the movies.
It's them.
They're real. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Excited. I just want to meet one. I just want to shake his little hand.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Not recommend that, but
I'm not going to touch it. Yeah, you guys
do what you want to do. That's fine.
Yeah. I'll wave from a distance.
Yeah.
But
so
then,
Kyle's never been to New York. This is going to be his first time. Yeah.
Let's go. We can find rats together, Kyle.
Oh my gosh.
This isn't your first time to New York, is it, Zoe?
I've only been there. I was there for Chimchar Com Day, for like literally 3 days in winter. So it was like I have not seen much of New York. For like, there it is. There's the High Line. Goodbye. Yeah. That was like, it was just crazy quick. So this will be like, I feel like this will be the proper first time.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's so much to do.
Hopefully it's not like 110 degrees when we get there.
I'll take that, man. I'm so cold. It's already so cold here.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was 5 Celsius this morning, and I'm like, what's that?
That's pretty cold.
5 C.
That's not bad.
That's 41 Fahrenheit.
Look, it was 41 degrees here like a week ago. So
the coast of Australia with like the breeze, though, with the wind. The wind.
True.
You guys got near the big lake, aren't you? Though.
Yeah,
so
we
probably the same vibe
we're
actually.
the
Probably the
chill.
same. Yeah.
It's not the cold.
So you guys
it's
get it.
the
It's
wind
cold.
chill.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. It's gross. It's not even. Wait, is it? It's not even winter yet. I shouldn't be cold yet.
Yeah, my number one goal for New York, aside from any shiny counts or whatever, is to just not get heat stroke in August in New York City.
Yeah.
It's a good goal.
Is it bad? Is New York
water.
like filthy hot? Is it humid or is it just spicy?
There's just a lot of metal around. You know what I mean?
So you're baking.
A lot of reflecting and stuff like that. I mean, we'll be in a park, which is great, but the water will also reflect the sun quite well. I'm a little bit upset, but thinking about it strategically or logistically, it wouldn't have made sense. But I was really hoping for Central Park.
That'd be so good, though, wouldn't it? Like
it would
proper, like Central Park.
It's very difficult in that space, probably, to manage people. Though there's like an infinite number of entrances and exits, lots of small places that you could like peel off to and be rather private, which is dangerous when you are dealing with liability and events, right? So
I imagine that it's a highly desirable park as well in terms of like events. It's probably like got a massively booked out calendar.
Oh yeah, and I imagine that price tag is not low. No. Yeah. But no, it'll be exciting. I'm glad that I've been to New York a lot. I'm a big New York advocate, so
sweet.
It'll be cool hearing about everybody's input and their experiences and stuff. Cool. All right. So, one last thing I did want to ask you in particular before we move on to news is you do a number of charity streams throughout the year, and some of them are repeat ones that you do. Are there any coming up? And even if they're not, please shout out a few of the charities that I know that you consistently work with. That'd be cool.
So the main one is Starlight. So Starlight Children's Foundation in Australia. Pretty much what they do is like make kids' time in hospital a bit less crap by, fun activities, getting them gaming consoles, getting them, excursions to go and do fun things or, involving the families as well. So that it's kind of like basically putting color and activity and fun stuff in the hospitals. That is coming up. So they've been kind of changing their structure for how they do their fundraising through the years so that it's more of like a always on season. But the I guess they do different campaigns now through the year. So the big one is coming up. And I think it's going to be just before August, possibly. I need to get 100% on the dates, but I'm going to be doing, however it lines up, even if I have to do it in advance, I'll do the big one again. Have to think up some more challenges. I need to actually do the 24-hour live stream that I said I was going to do. So we might line that up. So, it's been a year. I got to commit and just get it done. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be coming up soon. So
great.
Should be good.
Yeah.
Like need more chili powder live on stream or whatever else.
What the people want. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Look, that's if I've learned nothing else. People love to donate for charities, for whatever else. If there's just a little bit of human suffering involved, that being my suffering. So
That's right. Yeah.
It gets the people going,
They're all
and
lined
if it's
up.
for the kids, I will take the chili powder. I'll take the hot sauce. I can do that.
What we need though from you is some sort of reward or something or tier where we can hear Williams purring on stream.
Yeah. I can absolutely. Absolutely. We can do that.
Yes. For those at home, William is a cat. Zoe's cat.
It's just like a person comes in and starts like.
I mean, that would be like just off screen. A dude in a full like cat onesie just comes in.
Meow.
Yeah. Thanks for the tenor. Meow.
Thanks. Meow. Look, I feel like that might actually get more traction.
Oh my God. You're like, Alan, so I've got this idea for you.
Right. Look, it's for the kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Perfect. Cool. We will we'll put a link to Starlight's website in our show notes. And when
Appreciate
we get closer, we'll make sure to give Zoe's stream date and time a shout out as well.
I appreciate that.
All right. So let's just hop into the news because we do have one piece of news, and Zoe, because she's from the future, has had a chance to engage with it. So excited to hear some hands-on feedback. But on to the news. Yo, what up? It's the news. All right. So we have one piece of news as advertised, and it's kind of old news at this point. It's been out for about a day or so. Rising Shadows event. Can you face the shadows, trainers? Shadows are rising. I don't really know what that even means. Is this supposed to be like a joke on the hot air balloon? Maybe.
Or like the... Oh, wait. Oh, my God. I was like, oh, yeah, like how the smoke rises. I'm like, that's not a shadow, Zoe. That's smoke. Never
It's like
mind.
shadow smoke, though. Like that's the effect.
I think you've already both thought about it more than they did.
Yeah.
Good argument. Good argument. Yeah.
Or if it's like those old timey cartoons where like the bad guy's shadow is on the wall and it's like, they're walking in. You're like, that they're there, but you can't see them yet.
Like that long drawn shadow on the
Shadows are rising.
Yeah, and for some reason that shadow has cartoon red eyes, even though it's a shadow. Yeah, perfect. Team Go Rocket has grown audacious. They've discovered how to leave shadow Pokemon to defend gyms. Looks like
the audacity.
I like how that's worded. It's like, they finally figured out gyms, guys.
They figured it out. It took them 7 years, but they got there. There's a little plus button.
They were like actively boycotting it, waiting for the old gym system to come back or something as like an org. Yeah. These new Shadow Raids are unlike any challenge trainers have yet faced in Pokemon Go. What's more, Shadow Mewtwo will return to Pokemon Go in Shadow Raids. Also, for the first time in Pokemon Go, you'll be able to encounter Shiny Shadow Mewtwo if you're lucky. Yes, those 3 sweet, sweet words of Shiny Shadow Mewtwo.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. That brings us to our sponsor of this episode. No. Will Team Go Rocket's plan be thwarted, or will darkness fall over gyms worldwide? And if they did, would anybody care? It's up to you, trainers. So when is this event happening? It's already started. It started yesterday. Monday, May 22nd at 10 a.m. To Sunday, May 28th at 8 p.m. local time. Shadow Raid debuts. Shadow Mewtwo will return to Pokemon Go and Shadow Raids. Here's the big deal. It's shiny eligible. That's awesome. But here's where people are getting a little bit confused. Shadow Mewtwo is only available this weekend, even though the event goes longer than just this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's from Saturday, May 27th at 10 a.m. to Sunday, May 28th at 8 p.m. local time. That's when you can go out and Shadow Raid your face off if you'd like to for Shadow Mewtwo. So what are Shadow Raids? Okay, I'm going to read this, and then Zoe's actually going to tell us what they're like.
Okay.
The following Pokemon will be the first to appear in Shadow Raids. Gyms not under Team Go Rocket control may still host other raids. I'm glad that was said at the top because there was confusion about that too. From Monday, May 22nd, through the event. A majority of gyms will host Shadow Raids from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time. Saturday, May 27th, Team Go Rocket activity will spike, taking over all raids, which is good because that's the first day that Mewtwo can be out. So that's fantastic. 1-star Shadow Raids, you can see, and these are all Shadow versions, Poliwag, Machop, Bellsprout, and Beldum. Beldum is like real good. People are hunting that one down for sure. 3-star Shadow Raids, Bayleaf, Quilava, Croconaw, and Sneasel. An inspired selection for sure. Yeah. All right. So Zoe, what is this like? I mean, we're all kind of assuming the Shadow Mewtwo, which none of us have had a chance yet because it's not the weekend, will be like a big to do. Like that will probably take some effort. But
yeah,
how are the 1-stars? How are the 3-stars?
1-star, it's dummy easy, like same, if not faster than like a regular 1-star because they take that extra bit of damage early on, I guess. I'd say same as a regular level 1, you're fine. The only, counter being that you have to use a raid pass to do it as opposed to just doing it for free through the grunts. And the IVs for the raid stuff, I think the floor is 666, not like the 10-10-10 or whatever there is the standard for raids normally. So it's kind of like, The level 3s, I only got a chance to do Croconaw, and that thing was thick. I don't think you'd be able to solo it. It was just a bit too dense. But I have heard some people commenting on the latest Shadow thingy saying like that they'd soloed a Bayleaf or soloed the Sneasel with the variance in how much time was remaining sort of thing. So I'd say depending on your counters and your level and which Pokemon you're actually versing for level 3, potentially possible to solo. Probably not if you don't have like some optimized stuff.
Okay.
But the Croconaw I did with so me is level 50, a friend who's like level 47, and then there was just a random person that had jumped in that was like level 30 something. We still had 100 seconds left, but it was definitely a bit more chonky to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. So 1 star, probably soloable, if you're,
Absolutely.
It's very easy.
up there. Yeah. And then 3-star raids, still doable, but you might need a friend.
And
you
don't do
probably need a
Crocodile.
friend. Don't do Crocodile.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You haven't done any, Chris?
I have not done a shadow raid yet, but what I have done is collect those gems, which I don't see listed in this article. Did I miss it?
Kind of weird. But
Purified bricks.
No, I don't think they're there. So yeah, there's a whole new thing, very similar to the Team Go Rocket components that you can get. There's like these, what they're called, shadow gems, aren't they? Something like that.
Shadow shards and then the purified gem.
That's
so I'm
right,
just saying purified brick. Just
yeah.
throw it in there.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? And I think I saw in your video you used one of them, right, to give it a shot. Yeah.
So I used one. It like the crocodile got all glowy and weird. I have no idea numbers wise if it actually did anything. I assume it does because we defeated it, but it was a little bit odd. Like my friend as well had like a visual bug where he had used one. It's has little, you got 5, used 1, it went down to 4, then went back up to 5. And after the raid we've checked and it's like, okay, well we did have in our bags more than the 5, so maybe it was just like a visual thing or topping it up or letting you use stuff from your bag. I'm not sure. Again, I'm just assuming that it's doing what it's supposed to because it's kind of hard to tell because you're kind of like, is it I guess it's taking more okay, we're doing more damage now. Okay, I think it's defeat. I think because it is so new, it's kind of hard to know what the correct process is. But yeah, so you can like defeat rocket grunts, rocket leaders, or do the shadow raids and receive the shards to make the gem to use in the raids.
4 shards
I'm assuming
per gem, right?
Yeah. Okay. I would say assume like hold on to them for the Mewtwo. I feel like that's going to probably be more impactful there than doing a Crocodile personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just checked my bag as well because I just did a rocket battle and I was like, why didn't I get a shard? I've got 10 gems and that
Cap
is probably the cap. Okay.
That's the cap,
yeah.
Reportedly.
I haven't taken part in any 3-star raids, but I've read a whole lot online about people taking part.
Yeah.
And confusion about purification bricks are all over the place. They seem to not work consistently right now.
Good stuff.
Like I think the consensus has been you have to use it and then stop attacking for like 2 or 3 seconds in order for it to actually consume from your bag. If you use it and then immediately start attacking,
that might be why he had that.
It doesn't consume from your bag. That was the consensus that I saw in one post with like 50 comments. But
is it taking a tick? Is that why?
I couldn't tell you, but definitely a lot of people had video proof of it happening.
Right.
So.
I wonder if that's why the friends one had the 5-4 thing. If he just kept tapping.
Yeah.
I think I pressed the gem and then I was like stopped to watch it just for the video. So that I might have actually just been not tapping at the time, like when I threw mine. So that would probably.
And the enrage mechanic where it gets all glowy, it is an extremely large damage boost. It is like 80%.
Wow.
So that's going to be really, really bad for Shadow Mewtwo. Just heads up for anyone expecting.
So the glowing is it getting enraged, not it getting hit by the brick. Oh
Correct.
my god!
Once it's glowing is when you need to use the brick. Right. Is my understanding.
Okay, I think I used it and then it started glowing and I was like, oh, okay, it's got the brick on it now. Cool. Like that must be how that is. Oh my god.
You've infected our brains with calling it a brick now, by the way. It's great.
Just spread it around.
No, we have our meetup this weekend and we're all going to be doing shadow raids and
use the brick.
Throw a brick at it.
Throw a brick. Perfect. So there's that whole little system. Yeah, so it looks like when you hit the 10 gems, you'll start receiving mysterious components again. Is what I've heard online.
After you've used sort of thing.
Yeah. So there's that system. But back to the event really quick. There's also regular different raids. So if it's not a shadow raid, here's what you can expect. The gyms can be either taken over by shadow raid bosses or regular raid bosses, and there will be a visual indication. Is that correct, Zoe? They look very different.
They've got like the spooky dust on them.
Oh, the purple stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So in 1-star raids, if it's not a shadow raid, if it's a regular one, you can see Clefairy, Tentacool, Marill, Skrelp, and Popplio. 3-star raids will feature Magneton, Lapras, Mawile, and Empoleon. 5-star raids, Tapu Fini until May 24th, then Regigigas starting on May 24th. I believe that's a 10 a.m. local time dealio.
It's the 24th.
Yeah. Oh, that's you. That's you're from the future. That's
I'm not doing that. It doesn't matter. I'm not going outside for them. I'm not putting pants on for that.
But what about mega raids? Because Mega Pinsir just left for you. It's causing me stress because he's about to leave for us. And Mega Altaria is going to be replacing. Yep, Mega Altaria. That new. Just kidding.
Right.
Old
So
Mega.
I need to interrupt you here for 1 second because they did it again.
I know they
did it again.
Mm-hmm.
They switched the placement of the 2 raids so that it goes new then old and then old then new on the list, and it bothers me. So it's saying Regigigas is next and Tapu Fini is current, and then Mega Raids say Pinsir is current, Altaria is next. I'm like, why? Why?
Stop it.
This is the second time they've done it in 2 months.
Lachlan said, and we've seen it since, that it's national dex order.
Oh, really?
That was the reason he floated.
If that's genuine. Like that's
why?
Yeah,
Why?
that's giving too much credit. I feel like that's.
I don't know.
We draw the line. Like
that was Kyle's response too. He's like, that's too. No.
This is someone in comms not getting paid enough to get to rewrite the article. He goes, send it.
Yeah. Exactly. Hit send. Hit
we saw the
publish.
graphics go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Somebody in marketing, make sure you double check your layers when you export. Yep.
Look, I'm all for the scuffed. I thought it was quite fun,
Yeah, it's a little bit of character, Yeah.
It proves that people are looking and reading, it's a test.
Yeah,
It was a test to make sure.
It's true. Yeah, it's like in those ads when they show gameplay and the people just play terribly, so you're like motivated.
You're baiting for comments. They're like, let's export this and
you
bait some
spelled
comments.
this wrong.
Yeah.
I know, dude. Yeah. Wild encounters for this event too. Pretty classic sort of Pokemon you'd expect. Lots of poison and dark. Ekans, Golbat, Coughing, Houndour, Poochyena, Stunky, Skorupi, Hisui, and Quillfish, and Scraggy. And the event bonus is what the seasonal bonus has been. Team Go Rocket will appear more frequently at Pokestops and in balloons. So we're reiterating that. And as it was for the other Team Go Rocket event, it's likely that is not stacking with the seasonal bonus. It's probably just part and parcel to it. Field research tasks focused on defeating Team Go Rocket and catching Pokemon will be available, and those will have assortments of things like mysterious components and Stardust. So even if you aren't maxed out on your purification bricks, there we go. You can still get mysterious components by seeking out tasks. And there's a new pose, a rising hero pose. It looks like you're like floating a little bit, but you're looking down, like you made Superman really angry. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Just a menace,
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was thinking of those wide memes. It's like people have been like they've just made people like super wide on the edits, and I'll send you one.
It's the Mewtwo stance.
Sure.
Yeah. No. I'm not joking. That the stance. The pose is Mewtwo.
It's the wide memes.
No, it's called Rising Hero. What are you talking about?
It's the Mewtwo pose. I'm gonna call it Mewtwo pose from now on.
You're just making stuff up, Kyle. It's fine. So that's the event. Shadow raids are, so Zoe, were they fun? They were different. It's something different to do in a raid too, to worry about the enrage mechanic, but was it fun? That's kind of the big question.
I think it would have been funner. It would have been more fun if we were going around for like an hour just trying to find, like they were around, but they were in the worst locations. Like genuinely, one was in like a roundabout in the middle of like 4 lanes of traffic sort of thing, where it was kind of like we drove over to South Bank in Brisbane, which is like where we had played Com Day, amazingly accessible, super easy, like walk, lap, path, whatever. There's like 3 or 4 gyms there, and it's like, not a single one in the parklands had a raid on it, but like everywhere else in like and it's, you know, the city in Brizzy's fairly walkable, but like because had the car with us and had to stash it somewhere, it was just like, come on, man, like can we just get one raid that we can do? The function is fine. It was cool to see. The level 3s I feel like unless it's something that, you know, if you're chasing the Shadow Sneasel or something, maybe a bit more exciting than Croconaw. It was kind of like when I was like, yeah, this is cool. But again, it's going to really depend on where you can play. I think I, you know, for once the abundance of rockets was kind of like, oh, I'm going to do these rockets and get the little shards, and kind of like as we're walking around, like that was fun to do in between, like because there were so many of them, you could kind of like do 3, 4, 5 rockets walking between the gyms sort of thing, which is cool to like collect the bits and pieces as you go along your merry way. But that being said, like all of the grunts that we were seeing, like none of them were the ones that could, you know, have the shiny Mawile or the, you know, that could just be RNG as well, you know. But I don't know. It's fine. I'm curious to see how the Mewtwo goes. Like that's probably going to be the big one. Like if people turn out and want to do it, or if everyone's just like, nah, this thing's a unit and I'm not bothered. Like I don't know.
I mean, and these are the 1-star and 3-star. Can you remote to them or no? You have to do them in person, right? All shadow raids are in person only.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really going to kind of twist the knife for people that are not feeling great about raids. This Shadow Mewtwo is going to be a huge FOMO situation for a lot of people. And if you're rural and you need a minimum of 12 people that know what they're doing in order to do it or something like that, like people are just going to be kind of out of luck in a big way.
I'm also just bracing for APAC bugs. Like it's going to happen because
it's just regular Mewtwo, not Shadow.
It never happened.
Shadow Shiny though. There's going to be 14 billion spoofers, like just taking up spots for
just every gym is going to be immediately full.
Which will be efficient if you're in a major city in New Zealand or Australia, go out and get your raids done. But I believe that they're aware now of that bug where it was like spoofers were using up all of the lobby codes, and therefore like local players couldn't get in because all the combinations of lobby codes were taken in like 2 seconds. So I believe they're aware of that now, and I hope that someone is online and in the office or something just to make sure that it all goes smoothly. But I can just imagine it's going to be bedlam if that isn't like being monitored as well.
Nice part is it is not like a 1 hour or a 3 hour event. It is all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So there's at least timing there to fix things.
Yeah. I hope it just kind of launches smooth and all good, and everyone just, you know, has a good time.
But if it doesn't, let's just say one thing goes wrong. What do you think that one thing is? It'd be cool if you could nail the prediction and it happens, which would stink, but that'll be a silver lining of, I got that right.
If it's the standard, like no groups found with this code, like the lobby codes being filled up too quickly, that's my gut instinct would be that. But I might honestly just send them another message in lead up for this weekend of like, hey, just a friendly reminder, maybe just don't cap the raids in APAC. So in lieu of that bug, I'm going to say the raid completes, you go to the catch screen, and then it just doesn't. Where's my Mewtwo? It's just not there. There's gonna be some sort of high. Yeah. If they don't turn the shiny on, that's a classic. That's a classic.
Oh my gosh!
3 hours in, no shiny on. That is, we haven't had that one in a little while, so. It's due.
Time to bring it back.
Yeah,
bring back the classic.
Run that one back.
Yeah, it's always concerning when there's like a new system, though, in particular, because it's like, you know, if in the existing rating system, if the new Pokemon that's supposed to come out doesn't show up, or like an old raid boss, like those are things that people have seen, confident that that'll be fixed in a couple of hours, right? But if this whole new thing, right, of shadow raids and it being Mewtwo, there are several variables that could kind of go off the rails.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it's kind of like because it is based on the same system as like I guess the elite raids of like the no remotes, it's all in person. I feel like hopefully all of the bugs that could have been encountered on the last 4-5 things, and all of them had bugs in New Zealand especially, some had bugs in Australia as well, but I hope that all of the things that could have been caught have been caught. And like having met some people that work on the engineering team and stuff on Niantic side of things, like I know that them as individuals are like dedicated, awesome, hardworking. Like then they're on it, like they're very proactive about it. But there is always going to be something where, you know, how would they ever in testing have found that if there's 900 lobbies filling up like this, because they're not going to run that many at once. Like
right.
It's the only way to find it when it goes global. Like I get that. So I just hope that everything that could have been found has been found and it just goes smoothly. Like, you know, that's for everyone involved, for us and for them. Like, you know, they shouldn't have to be coming in off their own bat on a Saturday, on a weekend for them to just be like, okay, am I gonna, you know, have to be coding overtime here to try and fix whatever this new random bug is. Like, I don't know.
Right.
And then for the players as well, like you've taken the time out of your day to go to the location at this time to do the thing. It should just work. So
yep.
Yeah, and like Kyle was saying, you know, at least it's an all day sort of thing. So if it does kind of mess up, you don't have to wait months for a reschedule, you know, because your entire time slot was messed up or whatever. But
just you know, maybe don't go out and play in that first like 2 hours.
I literally joked about that during the Reggie Lucky raids. I was like, because I was in New Zealand, I was like, lol, I'm not going to the 11 a.m. ones. I'll see you guys at the 2. Exactly. And quite literally, the 11 a.m. ones like had an issue, and I was like, sick. I'm glad I stayed in bed. Like,
oh my gosh.
But it's like, you know, like why? But yeah, I am summoning smooth.
Good.
No bugs.
Okay, good. I figure like, you know, it's like an anti-jinx if we have a discussion about what bugs we could see, you know, so
get it out.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the last thing that I want to touch on with Shadow Raids is, do we think that they're sticking around, or is this just going to be for this event and then Shadow Raids are going to be gone?
I was going to ask that too. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think my understanding of it was kind of like they'll be around-ish, but not as like, I feel like this is lining up probably with like, if we have future Team Go Rocket takeovers, then it would be like, oh, every gym again's got it and there's a legendary on the weekend or something. And maybe like throughout the week regularly, there's like, oh, there's one over there. Mm-hmm. But I have no idea. Maybe they will just turn it off. I have no clue.
I really hope that they stick around and just they're treated like regular grunts. You know, 1 in 20 gyms have a Shadow Raid or something like that. Obviously, there won't be any legendary. That's the event. But it definitely read like, nah, you're not going to be able to see these again until we let you. I'm just hoping that I'm reading that wrong.
I interpret the Mewtwo as that, as like Mewtwo's blasting through for the weekend, like good luck sort of thing. But overall, I have no clue, because it could be either way.
Yeah,
I would say if you want a Shadow Mewtwo, probably go and get her done this weekend.
You're going to be waiting a long time to see that again. For sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think that's probably the most logical take is get the Mewtwo's. 1 stars and 3 stars will probably be around, but rare after the fact. Because, you know, also like why would we have to carry around all these purification bricks that will only be used 4 times a year?
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully that system is indicative of them hanging out. So cool. Well, that's it for the news. And that means that we're going to be moving on to Gear Up.
So this week on Gear Up, we're going to talk about some resource management. And specifically Stardust and Candy, but mostly Stardust, and mostly focusing around PvE in general. This is going to be for the newer players out there versus somebody far more experienced, especially somebody over level 40, I would say. But a lot of people take this kind of information for granted, and it's good to kind of put that out there every once in a while. So a couple of things to note at the start. Maximum Pokemon level by default is your trainer level +2. So if you're level 10, the highest you can power Pokemon is level 12, and so on all the way to level 40. Once you reach level 40, you can take Pokemon to level 50 with no restrictions based on your trainer level. I know they changed this recently, and I can't remember what level it was that you start to earn XL candy. Do either of you remember?
31.
It's 31 now?
Said.
31? All
sure.
right. So yeah, you can start getting XL candy at 31. You can't use it until you're level 40, though, which is silly, but
At least you can start getting it, man.
yeah,
Like,
it doesn't matter. Like the rate you get XL candy versus how you level up, you just don't worry about it. Just keep getting the XL candy. You'll use it eventually.
But why 31? That's so arbitrary. Why not from level 1? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe the idea is to limit the amount of information you're giving to players.
Yeah, to not
because they can't
overwhelm
use
them.
it. Someone starting at level 1, they get an XL candy. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Spend 10 minutes trying to find out where you use it. And you're like, all right, I give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas at 31, you
Fair
are
enough.
at least a little bit more committed at that point. So you might look it up.
Engage in the pop-up text when it happens.
Yeah.
Hit the little eye in the corner that explains some mechanic that nobody's looked at in 6 years.
Text box that just says, not yet.
We're going to talk about some numbers, though, because everybody loves numbers, right?
Woo.
So, the cost of powering up a Pokemon. It's a very accurate response. I know.
I got gripes with numbers.
The cost for powering up a Pokemon from level 1 to level 40 is 270,000 Stardust and 304 candy. And then to go from 40 to 50, it's 250,000 Stardust and 296 XL candy. It's a lot. It's a lot. The 40 to 50 is as much as 1 to 40, and actually then some, because the XL is much harder to get.
I should stop powering up dumb stuff.
Yeah,
Seeing it written out like that is like, oh, I'm making some bad choices.
Every level 50 Pokemon you make, that's a $500,000 right there.
My level 50 Magby wasn't a good choice.
No.
Oh,
I don't know. Did it bring you happiness?
Yeah, it was great point. Yes.
And then there you go.
But I'm not going to Mary Kondo my Pokemon inventory. Please, no, don't make me do this.
I'm going to speak purely from a meta standpoint because that's what I talk about.
Look, it slaps in Great League. Okay, it slaps in the Great League. People don't shield from it because they see a Magby. Okay, and it sweeps.
What CP is the Magby at level 50?
I will look it up for you right now. It is.
I like the idea of you constantly bringing up for the remainder of the recording, just justifying the Magby.
It was a great choice. It was to hit level 50. It was like the only thing I had candies for at the time.
Oh my god,
that's fine. Yeah,
because it was Australia got it early. Okay, so it's 100. It's 100 hundo. Maxed out is 1496 on the Magby.
Oh,
yeah, that's funny.
Okay,
That's funny.
Slaps. Okay.
All right.
Justified.
You got the reaction of, oh yeah, and like, I'm good.
I was expecting it to max out on 1250 or something. So
thick.
Back to some numbers though. The damage and survivability boost from level 40 to 50 is small, but it's not insignificant. But the damage boost from level 35 to 40 is also pretty small, but not insignificant. So I'm not discounting that, but the difference between a level 35 and a level 40 Pokemon is it's like less than 10% overall in each stat, which adds up, but still. So if you're looking to save on resources, especially if you're a newer player, if you're really limited on Stardust, level 35 is more than enough for almost all PvE content that you're going to do. Did I say 45? I meant 35. That's okay. Of course, this is only applicable if you have a group of people to play with. If you're trying to solo raids, specifically more difficult raids, the level 40 difference is going to be a big deal. Now we're going to get to a few more numbers, a few comparisons. Level 1 to 35 takes 190,000 Stardust. That's 80,000 less than level 40. So doesn't sound crazy to some people listening to this. Someone out there has got 18 million Stardust. Looking at you, Moo. I don't know how much you have right now, but and they're like 80,000. Well, I got that yesterday. Well, that's not everybody. I'm sorry. So it's something to consider. But there's a couple of other things to consider in terms of making your beginner teams, making your starting experience a lot better. And that's the level you encounter Pokemon at. So starting from a random encounter can be level 1 up to your trainer level with a maximum of level 30. So if you're a level 40 trainer, the highest level you can encounter is level 30. A weather boosted random encounter is 5 levels above your trainer level. So from level 6 to a maximum of level 35. Note, you can catch level 35 Pokemon and save Stardust completely if you just use it like that. If you hatch a Pokemon, it's always level 20. If you get a Pokemon from a field research or special research, it's always level 15. If you do a raid encounter and catch the Pokemon, it's always level 20, unless it's weather boosted, in which case it will be 25. If you do a Rocket Grunt and catch the Shadow, it's level 8, unless it's weather boosted, and then it'll be level 13. And if you purify a Shadow Pokemon that is below level 25, it will be level 25. If the Shadow Pokemon was already level 30, it won't go down in level.
Question.
Yes.
If you purify a weather boosted Shadow Pokemon, it's still to 25, right? It doesn't get
correct. It will
30.
Just go from 13 to 25 instead of from 8 to 25.
Okay. Man.
I was going to say just a quick thing as well, because I was that person who didn't know what levels were for way too long to have been someone making videos about Pokemon. For anyone who's listening and is like, what is a level? What? The little white bar above your Pokemon below the CP number and that little dot that moves when you power it up, that's the level. There's nowhere in the game that will tell you this is level 25, 20, whatever else, except for these things that Carl has mentioned, like where you just have to know it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, well, how do I know the level? That little bar with the dot is the level. And there are guides.
That's a fantastic point. I didn't even think about including.
I was years in. Years. Oh my God.
Also, okay, so here's another great one that a lot of people might not know in relation to that. Every time you hit that level up button, it's not one level. It's half of a level. So you have to level up twice in order to actually be at a 1 level interval, which doesn't really actually matter for most discussion, but it's fun to know.
I was today years old.
What?
I never thought about it. I just hit the button. I max out the Magni. I don't think about the exact breaks, you know. And I'm like, how much dust can I justify today? Okay, slap some in, try my best.
Remember when we used to have to hit the power up button several times and you couldn't just do several power ups at once?
Oh my God.
One time each.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Getting level 40 took you 25 minutes one Pokemon.
There used to be a lot of friction in this game, Kyle.
There was no warning about what CP it was going to go to.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Or
look
league
up
eligibility.
guides.
Yeah. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Oof.
Oh,
I have
man.
one more question, Kyle. I should have held up 2 fingers earlier, but one more question. Okay, so if let's say I'm level 23, right?
Mhm.
And I max out my trophy Bidoof to what would be my max, which is 24, right? Or 25. 25.
I can tell you. I can tell you Bidoof's maxed out at if you want.
Well, so my question is, if
Yeah.
I'm level 25 and I max it as much as I can, is that dot all the way to the right and then it'll lower itself as my cap increases when I level up? Or will it get hard stuck on where it would be total?
No, it moves backwards, I'm pretty sure.
Correct. I believe if you level it up, the arc will be complete if that's the highest level you can level it up to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those listening,
It's been a long time I've seen that, but yeah.
You didn't break the game. The game is about to break you.
So just a quick comparison, just for someone looking to save Stardust when they're starting out. Say you catch a wild Machop. It's a hundo, 100% IVs, 15, 15, 15. It's level 1. It's going to cost you 190,000 Stardust to power that up to 35, or 270 to level 40. Let's say you did a raid for a Machop, or you hatched one. So worst IVs possible, 10, 10, 10, level 20. It's going to cost 147.5 thousand Stardust to level 30, or 227.5 thousand Stardust to level 40. Now, that sounds like a small amount of Stardust to like late game players, to people who already have all their teams, everything's made. But 42,000 Stardust is a lot of Stardust, especially if you're not worried about the absolute min-max. We've talked about IVs before, but the difference between a 10-10-10 and a 15-15-15 Machop is like 6% attack, something really small.
Oh, I think it's much smaller than that, because the difference for Mewtwo, who has the oh wait, no, I'm sorry, they're lower, so the swing is more. My bad.
Yeah,
you're right.
Mewtwo's really small because he's got 300 attack already, so it's like 3% difference.
It's incredibly negligible. Yeah.
So you made 6 Pokemon, but you made them all level 35, and you got them all from eggs. You just saved 240,000 Stardust.
Jeez.
That's another Pokemon and a half right there that you can make for another type of counter that you need to do. And then, you slowly back up and you slowly refine what Pokemon you replace them one at a time as you start to get more Stardust, if that's what you like. Or you're like me and you're using the same 89% Tyranitar that you've had for 5 years.
Yeah, man.
It ain't broke.
There's one more thing worth talking about. We talked about a lot of shadows today. That's shadow and purified Pokemon and lucky Pokemon right there at the end. Shadow Pokemon cost 20% more Stardust and candy to power up. So just straight up, probably not a great idea as a starting out player, but they do deal 20% more damage and they take 20% more incoming damage. So it's not a great idea if you're a beginner player, especially because you're going to have less potions. You're going to have just less Pokemon in general to swap out if your Pokemon get KO'd. Shadow Pokemon are amazing if that's the direction you want to go, and they are usually the best choice, but not right away. That said, Shadow Pokemon are good for something else for beginning players. You can purify them. Purified Pokemon are Shadow Pokemon that you spent an amount of dust to purify. It varies based on which Pokemon it is, from 1,000 to 20,000 for the legendaries, right?
Yeah.
But those are only from Giovanni, so don't worry about that. This increases their level to 25, as we mentioned earlier, and that alone saves you, another 45,000 Stardust. And it removes the damage and the defense penalty. On top of that, purified Pokemon are 10% cheaper to power up for both candy and Stardust. So it's just even cheaper. It's a very efficient way of getting something up to a usable level, is to find as a shadow and purify it.
Yeah, but they don't look cool anymore.
True. And there's also one more comment I will say after here.
It's okay.
It's fine. It's not enough attitude. I would agree. Yeah. It needs to be like, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
It's just
Ooh, eyes. Like, give it like really
eyes.
Yeah. Anime eyes. Like, little cheeks as well.
Rosy cheeks on every Pokemon.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Just
well, yeah, like the Sir skit. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Another comment for people purifying Pokemon: when you purify, they will know not frustration. They'll know return for their charge move, which you need to TM away if you want to use it for raids. And unlike frustration, you don't need an event to TM return. You can just take it away.
And if you've TM'd frustration prior to purification, it will not know return, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
One quick note here: if you do get a shadow Pokemon with good IVs and it's usable, like a 14-14-14 Shadow Machop,
a Shadundo,
I hope somebody sees 100% and you're like, okay, that's pretty good. Don't purify that, probably, unless you really want to. It's better save it for the future. Power it up when you have more resources. And last comment is lucky Pokemon. If you trade with another player, I believe it is a 10% chance that it goes lucky, and the Pokemon they give you will cost less Stardust to power up. I don't remember the number. I forgot to look it up before writing this. I apologize.
1 in 25 chance to go lucky if it's like a recent for recent. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
they've recently added in 2017 as being like, I think all of 2017 as the 1 in 4.
Okay.
I think, yeah. So if you can trade with someone who's got older stuff as well, like the further you go back, the better the chances. So I think that it does get down to like the 1 in 10 if it's like 2018, 2017. Yeah, something like someone did. There's a
someone did the math.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
It can also, lucky trading, if you have like one other person you played community day with, can be a great way of saving some Stardust if you trade a bunch and get a decent lucky before you power it up. It's also a good way to get decent versions because the floor, if you get a lucky, is 12, 12, 12. And, all of that adds up to great tips for beginner teams there. But the general tip, level 35 is a good place to stop when you're maxing out teams as a beginner. And eggs, hatches, raids, and purified Pokemon are all your friend for saving resources as you build out those beginner teams.
Yes.
Anything else that you can think of? Anything that I may have missed, or any questions maybe?
I'd probably add on for the trading component, because there are a couple of, I would say Machamp being the big one, some that you can trade and get the free evolution for. Like, definitely just do, if you've got a friend who's got a bunch of Machamps left over from a com day or something, re-roll a bunch. More likely than not, you'll get a lucky one, hopefully. And then because it's been traded to you, you're spending no candy to do the evolution as well. Like, that's a really good sort. Plus, it gets used for everything as being like, the main fighting type sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Take advantage of those as well. Or if you can get a friend to trade you one that's already been powered up a fair bit too, like that's also, if someone's got one that they've,
make sure
anymore.
They haven't powered it up past whatever level you are, because it will just lose those levels when you do trade. So if they powered up a level 35 Machamp and you're only level 28, that Machamp will be level 28 when you trade it. So it's worth noting. Don't make that mistake.
And then also kind of, if you see like a wild Pokemon that is high level, consider holding on to it if you think it'll be worthwhile for trading. I know, like, when I see a Flareon or something like that, well, Flareon's not really meta, but that's what I see. And I always just toss. I never think about it. But the amount of value in it being caught at level 32 or whatever is hefty.
Give to someone who needs it. That's going to be their best fire type for a while to keep them out of dodge. Like, it's going to save them the resources.
100%.
Share it.
And that's it, Kyle?
That's all.
All right. That's all, folks. At least for Gear Up. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's been kind of nice sort of revisiting these like beginner topics. It's like difficult because Kyle's been making a concerted effort to do that ever since somebody brought it up in a couple of emails and stuff like that. And now it's hard. It's hard to think of these things. You're like, people even...
What do I need? Yeah, what do I need to do?
Yeah, what is beginner? What does it even mean anymore? Yeah. But thanks very much, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yay.
So we're going to take a quick little break, as we do here right before Poke Lore. But before we do that, we're going to be saying see you later. And we do mean that because, again, our most featured guest.
I will be back.
That's right. We're going to say bye-bye and thank you to Zoe. So, Zoe, we want to share with people how they can find you and all that good stuff.
No, that's really creepy if people would just like to find me. So I'm going to,
I should have thought that through. That's
look to the sky, look to the night sky for my bat signal. And that's how you know to.
Bow.
Yeah, there's a bow in the sky. I am Zoe Two Dots, spelt out ZOETWODOTS on all of the things except for like Twitter. Someone snagged that, so there's like an underscore in the front. But if you look me up, chuck me into Google, you'll find me on the YouTube, on the Twitch, on the Twitter, the Instagram, on the just trying to think of MySpace, everywhere. So if you're interested in this Australian accent being mediocre at Pokemon, come check it out. I appreciate. I'll take good care of you. I promise.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Do you want to see a level 50 Magby? Come hang out.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's going to be. That's been enshrined in this episode, at least for the two of us. It's great. So. Awesome. Well, Zoe, thank you so much. It was lovely as always having you on. Appreciate you and your time.
Likewise.
And until next time. Thanks so much.
So we go rat hunting in New York. We'll see you then.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, dear listener. Thank you again to Zoe Two Dots for hopping on. It's always a joy. And I loved the one particular point about remote raids filling the want and the need. That was like, I didn't think of that before. That was really great. It's a good way of looking at it. But we are moving along here, and I believe that now we're in Pokepole. Oh, I should mention it's because we're skipping Pokelore this week because we had a guest and we went long. So Pokepole.
So for last week's Pokepole, we asked, with the addition of the Master Ball to Pokemon Go, what other types of Pokeballs would you like to see and how would they work? First up, we have from Fire Drillin, aka Carlo.
Hey, Carlo.
Going off the type badge bonuses, where bronze is +1, silver is +2, gold is +3, and platinum is +4. You have a net ball, which is double type badge bonus for bug and water type Pokemon. So like if you had a platinum water or bug badge, you get +8 instead of +4. Okay.
Sounds right.
Dust ball be +3 during night, foggy, and cloudy weather. Quick ball would be +4 bonus for the first throw, +3 for the second, +2 for the third, and +1 for the fourth. Timer ball would be +1 for the fifth, +2 for the sixth, +3 for the seventh, and +4 for the eighth and after.
I like that.
Man, if I'm throwing 8 Pokeballs at one Pokemon, woo, we got a problem. And luxury ball, caught Pokemon are boosted to Ultra Buddies right away. Well, that'd be fun.
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be fun. Heavy ball, +4 bonus to XXL Pokemon or Pokemon over 100 kilograms. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm for that.
Each of these makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to need a grid, though, for the selecting Pokeballs instead of just a pop-out tray.
Yeah. So do you think that these would be usable in raids, too? Or do you think they'll keep that? Yeah,
no.
I think that's probably right.
So, yeah. Like, otherwise, stuff like, I think, use Quick Ball for your first 4 throws and then Timer Balls for every throw after would be too strong.
Mm-hmm.
Next response from Everdark Raven. They said, I would like to see ball capsules from Gen 4 be available in Pokemon Go. Allow us to customize the Pokeballs we use. Besides just seals like in Gen 4 games, it could give another use for stickers. Let me put a few stickers on my Pokeball that I can see while catching Pokemon. For those who don't know, ball capsules in Gen 4, you could decorate a Pokemon's Pokeball, and then when you threw it out, you would see those decorations like around the Pokemon as you sent it out.
Like confetti, stars, stuff like that.
Yeah. Rainbows, those kind of effects. It's fun. It's a fun little customization that
a little bit of agency,
a little bit.
A little bit of flair. It's great.
Next one from Cowboy Danger D, and they said, I would love the retro balls from Legends of Arceus. That sweet, sweet crackling sound and animation was so satisfying.
Yeah.
With the little bit of a rocket coming out the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That was good stuff.
Last responses from Wallrain1106, and they said, a ball tied to distance that is unique to Pokemon Go would be very fun for us fitness challenge individuals or those that like to grind the kilometers. I want to preface, I recognize a revamp or hotfix of Adventure Sync needs to happen before this could go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
However, in a perfect world where that works, you could receive a Go Ball for the 50-kilometer weekly bonus. This ball cannot be deflected or dropped, but you have to throw it yourself, so it's not Master Ball level. By making it a not guaranteed catch once per week at most, I think it balances out the possibility of its effects listed next. What it would do is permanently reduce the walking distance for candies for the Pokemon it catches by 50%. For example, catching a Tapu Fini with the Go Ball would drop from 20 kilometers to 10 kilometers for each walked candy. Then a Poffin would pull it down to 5, and so on. Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an idea. See, now here, when you said distance, I thought we were going to go with how far away the Pokemon was. And like the farther away the Pokemon is, the better your catch chance or something like that. I don't know.
What'd be cool is if they had a ball that that was very rare that you could get that was a little bit like homed a little bit. So for those really difficult far away throws, and if you're very bad at throwing, it could give you a little bit of assist,
Yeah, that'd be really cool too. Yeah, I do like the idea of something unique to Go, though. Yeah. I think Go is different enough. I think we could brainstorm this, a great starting point, an idea of something unique to Go for a Pokeball.
100%. I agree. Good response. All good responses, actually. Yeah.
For this week's Pokepoll, we have, what Pokemon would you like to see in Shadow Raids next? Legendary or non-legendary, both apply.
This is an easy one for me.
Yeah, well, here's a question. I have to preface question.
Okay.
Does it have to have already been Shadow?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think, it's much more interesting to sort of think broadly. I would probably say stick to Pokemon that are in Go, though, right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Lugia.
I
mean, we've already had Apex, Lugia, and stuff like that. I want to see Shadow Lugia in Shadow Raids. And I'd like for there to be like an elite raid tier that's an Apex Shadow Raid. Because I'm just dying for Apex to come back in some capacity. I don't want it to be a one and done sort of thing. It's cool. It's a neat concept, So
right. I have two responses. One legendary, one non-legendary. Legendary, I want to see Kyogre because that'd be just because I want Shadow Kyogre to come out because it'd be really cool. And for non-legendary, they have to. I'm obligated because I want to see Ghastly because it still doesn't have a shadow.
Well, yeah, double smoke.
Which is like, come on, it writes itself. It's right there.
Yeah.
The angry eyes would look so ridiculous.
He already has angry eyes.
I know, it's why it would be so weird. But like didn't mention it earlier, the biggest thing I love about Shadow Raids at the moment, I can see what I'm getting immediately.
Yeah.
I don't have to walk up to the stop, click it, and be like, oh, this is a ghost. Cool. And then it's a Shuppet. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't consider that. But yeah, Shadow Raids are really just a great way of targeting in the Shadow market, so to speak, right? The market of Shadow Pokemon, rather. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, dear listener, if you have an answer to this week's Pokepoll question, which is, what Pokemon would you like to see in Shadow Raids next? Legendary or non-legendary, both apply here. You can answer when we post that question on Twitter. If you're a patron of ours and in our Discord, we have an entire channel dedicated to it on said Discord. You can also respond via voicemail by calling 262-586-7717, or you can send in an email to mail@gocastpodcast.com. I will also post this question on the episode if you're on the Spotify mobile app. And then lastly, unless I'm forgetting something, which is likely, let me be clear, very likely, but I think the last one is leave a comment on the YouTube video. Yes, there is a video version of this show. If all things go right with the files, we'll see. Okay, well, that brings us to the last little bit of the show here. Kyle, what are we doing now? It's been a few weeks. I don't remember.
It's time for emails.
Oh, that's right. And no new voicemails this week. We did get a couple of text messages, but they were not for the show per se. So we've got two emails here that we did not read last week. We did get some other emails in, but in the interest of time, we're going to make sure we cover the ones that we missed last week, and then we will pay it forward to next week's episode. So this first email here is from Juan. Hey there, Chris and Kyle, longtime listener, first time emailing. As we all know, the Pogo community has been pretty heated ever since the Regidrago Elite raids and the nerf to remote raids. The Larvesta hatch rates being so low certainly put a wound on top of a wound on top of a wound. Yeah. I'm someone who personally does not let this game have any sort of negative effect on me mentally. While I don't agree with the decisions Niantic has been making as of late, and am in full support of people airing their gripes and concerns in a constructive, respectful way, I'm looking at you, Twitter, I'm not going to have a meltdown over it. I have many different avenues in which I might find entertainment, Pogo obviously being one of them. I'm guessing Pogo is some people's only go-to game / activity to distract themselves from the real world. Call me harsh, but letting this mobile app make you so upset to the point where you are raging about this to the highest extremes, well, it sounds like a personal problem. While the world has many bad things about it, it also has many wonderful things to bring joy and happiness to you. Pogo is not the only game out there. There are plenty of things to enjoy, new skills to learn, new games to play, other hobbies you can pick up, and great people to meet. Long story short, if you're so upset at the game and Niantic for what they have been doing currently, then simply find something new or do what I do and enjoy the game for what it is. By the way, Larvesta being June's community day would be absolutely hilarious. Twitter would blow up and I'm here for it. Anyway, Thanks for all you do with the show, and have a wonderful rest of your days. Until next time, ciao. Okay. I think that's fair. That's a fair take. I completely get it. Like, you look on Twitter, on other social media, and people are just, scream at the top of their lungs, like, this has ruined my life, stuff like, you see all sorts of extremes, and there's outliers in every conversation both ways. But what I will say here is that it's not, like we were talking about earlier with Zoe, it's not just remote raids. It's our relationship with Niantic that people are really upset about. Whether or not they're saying that is the larger thing. They might be saying, I'm mad about raids, but they're mad about not being heard about raids, or feeling that, Niantic is doing something negative to the game and they don't want it to go away. Right. So I wouldn't blame people for being passionate. I'd blame people for being abusive on social media 100%.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't blame them for being passionate, because people express things in different ways,
And one thought that's worth mentioning is there's nothing like Pokemon Go. Say what you want. I have a lot of different games that I play. Pokemon Go is not my sole source of entertainment or joy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people who it is, there is no replacement for Go. You just stop. You can't go and play Peridot. It's not a replacement.
Right.
You can't go and play NBA All-Stars, I think is the name. It's not a replacement. Also, both my Niantic, so you're not getting away from the problem. Anyways, it's not like we're playing League of Legends, and if you don't like it, you can go play Smite, or you can go play Dota 2, or you can go somewhere else and get something similar that will bring you joy while avoiding what is seen as the problem.
Right.
Or so on. If you're playing an MMO, you don't have to play WoW. You can play Final Fantasy, and so on and so forth. Those are just easy examples. So when someone sees something that they love, that they really enjoy, being changed into something that they don't, and they don't have alternatives, they're going to speak out passionately about it. And that's totally fair. Obviously, the extreme examples that people have taken it to, not okay.
Yeah.
But those are never okay, regardless of the scenario that we're in. They're never okay. So
right. Yeah, and I feel like it is kind of missing part of the point to say that it's just a game, because mobile games endeavor to be part of your lifestyle. So it's deeply embedded in daily habits and things like that. It's not like, oh, I sit down to play 2 hours of video games every night after work. Oh, I can play something else because something else will fit in that slot. It's part of your waking routine, your lunch break routine. It's part of your everyday. And it's very hard to just switch, even if there was an alternative,
Yep.
So anyway, Juan, thank you very much for the thoughtful, insightful email. Good question. And keep on keeping on.
The next email is from Connor. They said, hello, Chris and Kyle. My name is Connor. I'm writing in about some incentives that I believe should be added into the game. The first has to do with the new feature that displays the amount of people currently in the raid lobby without needing to tap on the gym. I think this is a great feature, but they can go one step further by adding a notify button. This button can be toggled after a raid egg hatches, and the trainer will be notified when someone joins the lobby. This would make in-person raids much easier. The second feature is more incentives for best buddies. While the ribbon and CP boost is nice, it takes a long time to reach best buddy, so extra rewards would push more trainers to use the feature. It doesn't have to be game-changing, but I did think of some options. 20k experience, 30 candies for that species, or 5XL candies for that Pokemon could be some possibilities. Let me know what you think, and sorry for the long email. I agree with both in terms of needing incentives.
Yeah.
I think that the feature that shows somebody in a raid is such a good start. And like, I hate to bring this up again, because we kind of hammered it home last week. Too little, too late. That feature should have been 6 months after Lugia raids came out after the first GoFest. That should have been number one on the list after you made raids a core part of your game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean it's not very appreciative, and it's great, but we should be getting stuff that lets us coordinate people getting into the raids at the same time too by this point. Not like features that are being toted in Campfire right now should have been implemented inside of Pokemon Go already.
Hard agree, man. Hard agree. We might get there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, maybe. But like they want to do it in Campfire, which kind of hamstrings its capabilities in general. Flares don't do you any good if you can't see them when you're catching Pokemon.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and nobody's staring at Campfire looking
Correct.
for that. It's going to be, you want it to be more organic, and that means integration, you know?
Yeah. I'd love to see Best Buddy rewards for Pokemon. I think they need to be even bigger than what you listed here, Connor, personally, for me. But like a chunk of experience or a chunk of, I don't know. See, it can't really be candy in my mind because you've already probably walked that Best Buddy 100+ kilometers.
Yeah.
So like experience or Stardust really makes the most sense.
Stardust makes sense to me because like we were just talking about in Gear Up, Stardust costs at endgame are massive.
Mm-hmm.
And Best Buddy is something that you can work on. It is for players that will get to endgame. So it makes sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird that the buddy system is the only system you can kind of interact with that doesn't give you experience or Stardust. One of the two. If you catch Pokemon, you get experience and Stardust. If you raid, you get experience and Stardust. If you send gifts, you get experience for buddy levels or for friendship levels and some Stardust for opening gifts.
Yeah, I think
and
the
PvP
idea
gives
is
Stardust, so that's one of two.
I think the idea is kind of like, where's that Stardust coming from? Because it's not being generated just from your Pokemon. I know that's a step too far, right? But I think that's probably it because like when you do a task, the reward for the task is Stardust. And if Pokemon can quote unquote produce Stardust, then why do they need it, right?
But that's what I'm saying though is like the Pokemon went and gathered it potentially, something like that. Make it a pop-up reward like gifts. Your Pokemon found you 1,000 Stardust overnight. I don't know. So nothing crazy,
just something.
But like that works. And I think the experience just kind of writes itself. So
I agree. Experience makes sense because you just had an experience with that Pokemon, a memorable one. Yeah, that tracks for sure. But anyway, thank you so much for the email, Connor. Really appreciate it. And shout out to Latrell and Artemis Dragon. We will be reading your emails next week. Thank you so much for writing in. But if you would like to send in an email and join them, dear listener, next week, please send it to mail@gocastpodcast.com. Again, you can also call and leave us a voicemail to 262-586-7717. Visit our website for all things GoCast, gocastpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter @GoCastPodcast. If you'd like to help support the show, you certainly can via Patreon. That's patreon.com and then /GoCast Podcast. And you can pick any monetary amount you like. There are some predefined tiers, but you can put in, I think $1 is the minimum. I'm not sure, but yeah, you can pick and choose. And speaking of patrons, shout outs to our Elite Trainer tier patrons: Bo, Daniel, Lori, Michael, Ozzy, Arkham, Tish, Marvin and Mimi, Sforts, or Hisui and Ryan, Thayer, Jason, Justin, Charles, Mottersley, William, Brandon, Ethan, Stephen, Nick, Kelvin, our favorite listener, Drew 2, Cambo, The Ugly Rock, and Jacob. Thank you so much for your generous support and helping us keep the digital lights on. We really appreciate it. You can also leave us a review if you'd like to help support the show non-monetarily, but still support us all the same. We got 2 reviews this past week. New ones, I should say. First one's from Crazy Cobra, who has called in the past. You probably recognize the name. Fantastic podcast. Chris and Kyle are great hosts. Each episode, they chat about Pokemon Go events, give a Pokedex-style overview of relevant Pokemon, except for these past 2 weeks, I suppose. Interact with the audience using polls and read emails. If you are into PvP, then be sure to check out the PvP Corner episodes in the same feed where Fish and DeFi discuss metas and talk PvP. I thank everyone who made this podcast possible, and I highly recommend it to anyone playing Pokemon Go. Hello from Crazy Cobra. Thank you so much. A much more apt summary of our show than I probably could have given myself. It's nice. Film Don't Lie left a 5-star review. Best Pokemon Go podcast. This is hands down the best Pokemon Go podcast out there. They are informative and entertaining. They stay up to date with current events. I appreciate how they give their honest thoughts about the game and express their frustrations, unlike some others in the community. Nice. All right, cool. Do with that information as you will, dear listener. Whenever we read these, I always think of that meme of Obama giving himself the Medal of Honor. You know, I always think of that. All right, cool. Last things last here, Kyle. We've got to set some goals. We've got the meetup this weekend and the Shadow Mewtwo raids, and it's going to be fun.
Yep. Yes, it is.
So, what are you looking at doing?
I've got my goals. Real simple, sort of. Maybe we're gonna find out. Shadow Shiny Mewtwo. We're gonna be downtown Chicago. We're gonna have a nice group of people. There's no world where whatever Shadow Mewtwo is, we can't take care of it. Thankfully, otherwise I'd be having a very problematic weekend. And then just survive the weekend and have fun. Just looking to enjoy the weekend with everybody who's gonna be there.
Yep. It's very exciting.
Any eggs this weekend?
Okay, well,
nothing's going in incubators.
I'll make up for that. Don't you worry. Shadow Shiny Mewtwo for myself as well. Larvesta, and then 100 eggs because we'll be walking a lot. I assume I will be hatching. And then 2 shinies total. It could be anything. This is including the Mewtwo. But if I end up not getting the Mewtwo and I get 2 other shinies, it will also fulfill the goal. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking forward to the meetup and looking forward to coming back next week and having lots of wonderful things to say about Shadow Mewtwo raids, hopefully, and how they didn't break for anybody. Yep.
Also, if you've made it this far, I have to tell you something. Don't bring Gengar to these raids. It hurts me to say that, but don't do it.
Mm-hmm. The poison,
even if it's a Mega Gengar, just don't do it.
Sorry, y'all.
That shadow boosted confusion is gonna one-shot it.
Yep. Yeah. It's a glass cannon and it hasn't even had a chance for a cannonball to be loaded. Yeah. Woof. Anyway, good luck everybody this weekend. Thank you so much for listening all the way through. Thank you again to Zoe for coming on. Always a good time. And we'll see you next week for episode 238. And if all things go according to plan, it will be an all hands on deck episode with Fish and DeFi. So see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.